right, Jody, thanks for joining me. Great to be here and really enjoying our time working with you so far on this search and looking forward to the next steps. But at this point, just want to spend a few minutes letting folks get a sense of your background and your role, which will be a key partner to the head of lower school and some initiatives that are going on there. But first, let's start with you, your background as an educator and what drew you to the school?
Sure. So next year is going to be my 20th year in education, which came up rather quickly. So I first started at Heschel and Northridge as a DELIT fellow. So I went through the DELIT program through HUC after having kind of gotten my master's in religious studies, and I didn't really know what I was going to do with it. So, I decided to pair that with psychology and go into education. So I taught third grade at Heschel for 6 years, and then I moved to their middle school where I taught history and Jewish studies. And I kind of really started to think more big picture when I was down there and about education in general. And that's when I kind of started writing a lot of things, thinking about education kind of as in terms of shaping how it would look in a particular school and how it kind of looks globally and how it can look. And so after that, I mean, I got, I had some opportunities to do small leadership things there, but I was kind of looking for more. And so this position at Hausner came up. And I had heard really great things about the school through Delit because there was always kind of this constellation of California schools in the program. So I'd known about Hausner before. Um, and so I was, I'm also from here, from the Bay Area. I was in LA, but now I'm back. And so I was thrilled to come back. And this was a position for me that was really, I felt perfect because there hadn't been a division head here at the time. And there was just kind of one person. And so what I saw was an opportunity at that time, about, I guess, 8 years ago, to really differentiate what was then the middle school from kind of the lower school and looking at the whole picture, but also the middle school is a separate thing because middle schoolers are unique and they have their own stuff. And it's a really interesting time. And so it needs a particular kind of focus and a different kind of approach. So that's
As
what.
as a parent of some middle schoolers, I know exactly what you mean. They are a unique bunch. And I guess tell us a little bit about the middle school at Hausner, but
Mhm.
also kind of walk us through the metaphorical grounds. And I don't mean building by building, but just from your lens, the what the community is like at Hausner holistically, and the vibe and the culture and the feel, and how how all that plays out for you, but also give folks a little window into the middle school since it
Yeah.
is the division to which lower school kids will be rising up to and whatnot. So want to hear a bit about all that.
So, interesting. So the vibe. What I was struck by, and I like to remember kind of the things I was struck by when I came here the first time, because I think you always have a particular lens then that you will never get back ever again. One thing that struck me when I came here all those years ago was just how kind of really intentionally Jewish and spiritual the community is, while not being kind of as rigidly, specifically religious as other places can be, if that makes sense. And I don't mean that in a pejorative way. I just mean it as opposed to. Um, so our students, for example, they don't have to wear kippot if they're not, kind of moved to. Um, but you see even like say a kid who's choosing not to wear a kippah will go up and lead Kabbalat Shabbat like joyously and dance around. So it's like there's just this kind of interesting tension, I think, in the entire school, which I think is plays out in a number of different ways, which is kind of always questioning, always wondering, always trying to kind of like see. what is the truth underneath, and also how can we be together as a community? And so these two things I think always kind of overlap a lot. So I mean it's a really academically, I would say, focused community. You know, as it is still, a school that has Jewish studies and Hebrew, those are really kind of, I think, truly used in a very interdisciplinary way in order to kind of, I think, strengthen and bolster the academics, especially in the upper school, and our upper schools 5 through 8, um, because I would say that our kids tend to be a year-ish kind of ahead. And so a lot of those skills that they need, you know, to go on to do all of that like really important thought work, they're kind of getting through both Jewish studies and general studies. So there's a lot of opportunities, I think, for increased interdisciplinary work, but there's also a really good foundation from which to build. Um, in terms of kind of staff and faculty, it's a very supportive community. And it's a place where people's personal lives are valued. And I say that meaning that it's very important for people to kind of prioritize their families when necessary, prioritize their health when necessary. We're very, I think, compassionate and empathetic about every human who works here. And so I've always felt very seen here.
That's great. Well, let's help people see the partnership between the lower school and the upper school, and just talk at this point about what's coming up and sort of you're coming down the pipe there in terms of the partnership that you're hoping to have with this incoming head of lower school. Any initiatives, TK to 8 or lower and upper school
Yeah.
that are in motion or going to be coming in motion in the next year or so?
So there's a couple of different things and a billion different things that I'm sure I haven't thought of. So the things I have thought of um, are that so when I my second year here, I brought in this program, or not program, I guess a framework for ethics and values called Darke Hausner, the way of Hausner. And so we have these like 3 values, and there's all these things that we do with them in the upper school. They're written on the walls. Um, and I would really love to see something, either maybe not those particular values, but Darche Hausner values for lower school too. I see that being a really foundational part about the culture of upper school that I think would also be really cool to see something similar in lower school, um, or something that's kind of all through, whichever, depending on, how it makes sense to do it. The other opportunity that I think that we could absolutely, um, I mean, it's kind of almost low hanging fruit, though not necessarily easy to pull off, is we really, really need to do more intentional collaborations between lower and upper school. We have a lot of kind of informal opportunities. This particular teacher will go into TK with, their advisory, or and will those the sixth graders will help them learn how to read, all of that kind of thing. But I feel like in a TK through 8, there's just ample opportunities to kind of formalize those connections um so that the kids really get the kind of um the full benefits from being in a TK through 8, which is a really special place to be. So I see a lot of opportunities there. I really, I mean, I don't know. I love thinking about education and where it's going. I do a lot of thinking about, now we're post post COVID with the students we have in front of us, with AI, with this, with that. What are the next steps in education, and how can we really respond to where our students aren't just at right now, but where we anticipate them going. And I think that I think there's going to be a lot of work there to do, and an opportunity to kind of collaborate and see like what are there initiatives that we want to bring that kind of help bolster a different kind of thinking about learning or a different kind of thinking about behavior, and a different kind of thinking about community in ways that can really, I think, solidify some of the really amazing things that we already have here, but like kind of just kind of formalizing certain things, taking things kind of to the next level, and really kind of working together, I think, to bridge that gap between lower and upper school that I think is pretty significant at the moment. I'd like to see I'd like to see the lower school parents know more about the upper school, and I'd like to see the upper school parents, hear more. So, they're kind of like, which I get, I've got my own, but like somehow making things a little bit more together, a little more community, if that makes sense.
No, that's great. You talked about growth, and I just love the final question. You've been at Hausner quite a number of years, and how has the organization, how has the school allowed you to grow? Or what, in the role that you've been in, just for someone who sees it as a not just an opportunity to serve, but also to grow.
Mhm.
Um, and just anything that sort of comes out for you or sticks in your mind about what your ability to develop as a leader within Hausner.
A really good question. There actually did a lot. It's funny because I haven't. It's funny. I haven't thought about that in a couple of years. But I would say pre-COVID, it did a lot of work. The school sent me to the Harvard kind of Principals Institute. I did a potential heads of school thing. Like they were really I think invested, and I don't mean to make it sound like it's all in past tense. I mean, invested in making sure that I had the skills that I needed to succeed in this position, because this was the first time that I was a division director. When I came here 8 years ago, I had some admin experience, but not a ton. And so I really grew, I think, into the position, and I was really helped by having really strong mentors and also, opportunities for professional development. And I think, I would say even now, I feel like I'm being given more opportunities to grow in my role even next year. So looking forward to that.
Oh, that's great. And I think that we have tried to articulate and show folks how this new structure is going to be a great opportunity for the division heads to elevate
Yeah.
and take on more responsibility, and for this head of lower school to work with you directly on some really fun and exciting initiatives. So I appreciate your time, Jody, and excited to work with you all, and looking forward to the next steps in the search. Thank you.
Thank you.